All right, I say we bring up your next comedian. She is not trying to make a good impression. Please put your hands together.
I'm like, I can't tell what the plastic is anymore.
Kim Weitzman, everyone.
But she didn't put the room number, so I'm just gonna text her and tell her it's at the front.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much.
So I have the distinction of being the only comedian tonight coming to you from Ohio. So hello from the Midwest. I bring you greetings from the Buckeyes and the Browns and all those guys. But recently I treated myself to several $1,000s worth of sedation dentistry. The amazing Dr. Morgan gave me Valium to take the night before the procedure because he wanted me to get a good night's sleep and he cared about me. He also cared about me so much that he gave me Valium to take before my appointment. So I don't even remember getting to the doctor's appointment. During the procedure, this 8-hour procedure, he continued to feed me Valium. So when I woke up 8 hours later, I had no idea that I had a tooth pulled, I had a root canal, and I also got 3 crowns. So now I'm definitely considering sedation income taxes. I'm looking into sedation leg waxing. And I actually just wrapped up a sedation Zoom divorce. So sometimes my advice seems to surprise people because I sometimes give advice like, be careful not to make too good of a first impression. Because if people think you're responsible, they're going to expect that from you for the rest of your life. And the reason I give that advice is I had a perfect score at my birth. The doctor gave me an APGAR score as a baby of 10 out of 10. And so ever since that day, there have just been high expectations from me everywhere I look. There were high expectations for me, I think, when I was cast as the part of the Virgin Mary in the Christmas pageant at my church without even having to audition. Much like the actual Virgin Mary, I was just told, Kim, you're going to be the Virgin Mary in the Christmas pageant. And like the real Virgin Mary, I couldn't turn that offer down. But I'm picturing a couple Sunday school teachers, maybe behind closed doors, discussing who in our Sunday school looks the most virginal. And the answer was Kim. So I made, unfortunately, a good impression when that baby Jesus, that real live baby Jesus that we had, slept in my arms for the entire Christmas pageant. So all of the parents in the congregation were then knocking down my door for me to babysit their child, since apparently I was some kind of baby whisperer or something. So from time to time, I tend to get some strange compliments. A compliment that I tend to get frequently is nice mole. I don't know if you could see, I have a mole right here. So I usually respond with something like nice wart with the curly hair coming out of it. Another compliment I got recently when I was checking out mattresses at a mattress store. I was testing them out, laying down, getting different positions on the bed when the salesman came up to me and said, "You look really relaxed." And I said, I'm just good at laying down. Another compliment that I get is, Kim, I think it's so great that you work with nonprofit agencies, you work with children, you help people who have developmental disabilities. If I didn't have the lifestyle and the personality that required me to make money, I would also work at a nonprofit. But that is true. I have worked at nonprofits almost my whole career. And I don't know if I work at a nonprofit because I have low self-esteem, or if I have low self-esteem because I work at a nonprofit. Because the message is to not make money. I don't know if you realize this, but nonprofit agencies not only don't make money, but they are actively trying not to make money. So when I think about for-profit agencies at their meetings, I imagine their meeting agendas read, something like a Forbes magazine, when our meeting agendas for our nonprofit agencies read something like the lyrics to a Morrissey song. So as a child or as a preteen, I was gay and I didn't know it. But what I did know was that I should be playing softball for some reason. I didn't know why. Felt like it was something I should be doing. But unfortunately, I was relegated to right field because I was terrified of the ball. Most days I was praying to God that there would be a tornado or I would pass out from heat exhaustion so I didn't have to play the game that day. But I did in 3 summers end up catching 1 fly ball, but it was completely on accident because I tripped on myself out there in right field, which is too bad because I had a pretty slick looking Daryl Strawberry softball mitt that I wore, not to brag. So I live with my parents, Jerry and Carol. You might see them out there in the audience today. They might be waving at you. They probably are. Yep. They are 71 and recently retired. Add that to the pandemic, and I feel like my parents are pretty lonely. I wish that my dad could go out and bring in the Jehovah's Witnesses that he used to bring into our house that were roaming the neighborhood, meet them in the driveway, bring them in, make them a snack, talk to them for hours, even though he had no intention of becoming a Jehovah's Witness. But I've noticed that my parents have some dangerous behaviors now that I'm living at home with them. Things like my dad and my mom only using 1/3 of a dryer sheet per load of laundry. And that worries me because, static electricity is real. What if my dad walks too quickly across the carpet? He's going to get shocked and he has a pacemaker. So other things that my parents do that are dangerous are things like, not having a smartphone, only having one phone between them. That is one of those pay-as-you-go burner phones that usually criminals or drug dealers have. But to make up for that, they bought a TomTom off of Craigslist from somebody in the middle of the night. And that TomTom hasn't been updated for 13 years. So I don't really know where or how they get different places, but that probably explains why my dad hitchhikes so frequently. But don't worry about that non-updated TomTom because my mom, as a backup, has a map from 1956 of the state of Ohio. So we should be okay. So sometimes it's uncomfortable watching my parents' dangerous behavior right in front of my eyes now that I'm back at home. So I'm thinking about calling my dentist and see if he can't help me out with some sedation for this situation. Thank you.
Keep it going for Kim Weitzman, everyone. Amazing.
Slow clap.
Slow clap. Let's hear a couple of these claps. That's the deafening silence is a little difficult.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yay! Woo!
All right, we're going to keep it going with our next comedian.